All right, and welcome back to another episode of Perspective in Pokemon. And I am super happy to have with me Tim, who I just found out that's his actual name, or AKA Goatbreakers. If you see him on TikTok, which if you have not seen his TikToks, you should go check him out because, dude, you've been growing a lot lately.
Yeah, dude, it's really interesting. I talk to people a lot about that. So what I've yeah, we've had like whenever people are acting positive in their community, people seem to resonate to it. I'll have random videos where people are like, or where I'm going in and creating a giveaway, or people like perceive what they want to perceive out of the videos. We even had one I just posted that I was more like documenting. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people teach documenting their on their TikTok videos. So you don't have to be like crazy creative. You just say like, "Hey, I went to the store. I found this. Isn't that cool?" You know what I mean? So so I just documented it. And I was like, "Hey, if you find these cards, you get a set, or you get these certain cards. If they're a PSA 10, they will be worth a certain amount of money." I'm just kind of telling them, just having fun. But it hit like 500,000 views almost right now. And because everybody's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get rich or this or this. And I'm like, that's not what I was saying. But like basically the perception of those videos is what drives it. So, we just kind of do it. I've had things go well, and I've had things I've spent all day on that completely tank. And I'll complain about it to my wife or something like that, and then just move on to the next thing is kind of what you have to do. But all that to say, like the growth is built out of just trying to be consistent as best as I can, if that makes sense. And then also, again, people perceive what the video is. The last thing that grew was an April Fool's joke where I was like,
Yes, I saw that.
I was like, I'm quitting, and you get all this stuff for free. Where I have like my vault of stuff, and if you saw that on April Fools, you're gonna get it. But the way TikTok works is they like to push things on days that are not April Fools. So that got pushed about 2 weeks later, and that gave us like a bump of like 100,000 followers, of people not knowing it was April Fools. I communicated that to them. And what's cool, here's what's really cool, is that there was like a burst of growth that you get from a video like that. But because of the consistency that occurred in the rest of the videos, and we're still there, we're still doing stuff before we were doing things, and we continue to do things after, then you're creating retention. So people are still there. And it's like you didn't gain 100 and lose 100 the next day. Lost a certain amount, but it's been really cool to see people stay and just still enjoy it, regardless of if they didn't get their free, massive giveaway or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's been really cool to see growth happen and see retention happen. I think the retention on that kind of stuff is way more interesting to see than when you have explosions of growth. You just got to capitalize on it the best way you can, if that makes sense. So it's a long answer for you, but
No, that totally makes sense. And I do real quick. Do you want to point out? I love how you said. Sometimes you make a video, and you spend all this time on it, then it doesn't perform as well as the one of just like you walk into a store, you show this, because I've done that too, where I've done a video. It took me like 2 hours to edit and whatnot, put together, and then it like doesn't get that many views, doesn't get that many likes. And the one video that I do that's like, hey, this is just something I'm going to throw up, and it gets like 2,000 views in like an hour and whatnot. Like it's just funny how I think sometimes we, what's the word? I think sometimes we hold ourselves back from like if you want to create something because we think it has to be this perfect thing.
Yeah, 100%.
When in reality, I love that whole like documenting, that whole just putting out what you want to put out and letting the audience dictate what they like.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for us to have a conversation and say that. Like when you're putting it into practice, it obviously sucks. Like when you're doing it, and like I went to this place in Oklahoma where I had this really cool idea of like you could play Pokemon Go there, doing a lot of stuff of like hitting the spots, and I was doing these crazy transitions of like, here's what the spot is, and then I would like zoom in and show the real thing and do all stuff. Something like I'm proud of. I thought it was good. I did really good, and that thing just completely tanked. And I spent probably 3 hours shooting stuff. I spent a whole day, so at least an 8-hour work day of editing that video with so much pride. And then you just get completely humbled by the TikTok community. And there's good engagement there, but it doesn't reach. And the way this algorithm works and stuff, nobody really knows. There's always the experts that tell you what the new trends are or anything like that, but the consistency of being like, okay, so that didn't work, regardless of whatever I'm attached to, in that video. I spent a lot of time. I enjoyed it. I've learned that from just my career, like outside of doing this kind of stuff. Just because I'm attached to it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing, if that makes sense. So I spent a lot of time editing. That's great. But then I'll go to Walmart and be like, oh man, there's a Pikachu box. Isn't that crazy? And it's like 60,000 views. So you got to process that. So there's different, I can't remember who the guy is, and I'm going to butcher the way that they said it. But basically, there's different types of content. You have like hero content. That is like the big immaculate thing that you're really passionate about, that you do a lot of. Then there's other quicker bite-sized content that people can digest and get consistently. So once I kind of got like I said, I totally butchered it. But once you get a concept down of like, if that thing tanks, so to speak, in your mind, it's still good in the long run, unless you start getting feedback that there are significant issues, then it's good to be there. It's good to continue to do that. So like when somebody does come across your page or other people start seeing what you're doing, they know you've been around there and you're not just creating like million view videos trying to scam somebody into following you or things like that, or just doing giveaways. A lot of friends and a lot of people do giveaways and have created great followings from that. And that's great because they have goals for that kind of thing. You just got to focus on your goals. When you start getting sporadic and that kind of stuff, just to get views for giveaways and get followers for giveaways, you can get trapped in that if you don't like it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I've done that as an appreciation, but you just got to do what you love. And I absolutely love doing this kind of content and creating stuff that I'm excited about. And as opposed to just trying to crank the numbers up, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I love that because something I want to add to that is that, I think if you do what you love, like even if it doesn't get as many views, like that particular video, you never know how that one video might impact someone, like maybe like some of my lowest viewed videos on TikTok are the ones where I talk more like perspective stuff, like taking responsibility for your life, things that I think will lead to happiness. Those get like the least amount of views, but at least to me, I think they get like, especially compared to like the Pokemon stuff, like the Pokemon stuff does a whole lot better.
Yeah, you open a pack and get a Charizard. That's a lot of being like, hey, depression, right?
Yeah. But I feel like those videos that I do are more impactful because those are that's when I get the DMs or the the comments of saying, oh my gosh, I really need to hear that today.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And like there's a concept too of like, if you even have like 100,000 followers, just like a number out there, you're not going to have 100,000 people interacting with you like every single day. A lot of those times people are just click and follow. They don't even remember that they did it. Or it might even be a bot account. You know what I'm saying? But if you're having consistent engagement, like with a certain group of people, like I can probably, I'm not going to put myself on the spot right now, but I'm saying I could probably think about 100 people at the very least that I've had multiple conversations with in my journey, so to speak, of building these videos out. And those are the super fans. Those are the people that you are like cultivating culture, cultivating engagement with. That is really, really valuable. Now, when you grow and you start getting big numbers and things like that on your views and people just talking, and that's really good. That obviously builds more credibility to what you're doing. But you still have those people that were there from day one that you've built relationships with. Like I was just talking to this other guy, Joe Dexter. He's another Pokemon creator, really, really cool guy. And he said something to me where he was just like, he wakes up, like this community is something he wakes up to now, and has been very supportive, and it's great. Like it's something that like I have friends from content creation that I would never have engaged with, that I engage with on a daily basis outside of the app, which is crazy. Like the way that this all works. I got onto TikTok to just make dumb videos. Basically I wanted to do stuff where nobody was engaging with me that I knew. Because the way I would see validation is like I can go on Facebook, you know what I mean? Like you can go on Facebook and make a video and be like, I did so good. And then your mom's like, oh, Tim, you did so great. Like, love you. Look at what my son did. I didn't want any of that. I love my family and everything. But if we were creating stuff that people were engaging with and wanting, and we were getting the validation from people that had no clue who we were, then you can kind of start to see if what you're doing is working. That's kind of like on a business side, if that makes sense. You can have your friends and family support you, but the people that don't know you, that says they're going to tell you if it sucks really quick or if it's amazing really quick. So that's kind of where I went with it. And the whole idea of like this community is awesome. Like you think TikTok's a dancing app with like 13-year-old kids, and there is tons of millennials. I'm a millennial. There's tons of people around this age just making stuff because they need creative outlets and they're looking for validation. They're looking for community. And it's really easy to discover that as you start engaging with people regularly.
For sure. Yeah, honestly, TikTok has actually become probably my favorite app just because of like, it's just so easy to, I guess, connect with a lot more people, get to know a lot more people. And yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, dude, it's really fun. I like I said, it's that where do you think you're dancing? Like it's just dancing videos. You can get on these paths of crazy TikTok. Like you can get on like conspiracy theory TikTok. You can get on Bitcoin TikTok. You can get on all these different things that it's just like you scrolling through it constantly. Like I equate it to this is like the excuse me. This is like the way that when I was younger, because I don't know if we're the same age or not, or if I'm super old compared to you. But
I'm 29, so I don't know how.
Okay, so 32. So okay. We're there. So you know what I'm talking about. When I'm like, I equate me going through TikTok like this in the same way as like if I was like flipping through channels on TV. So like I'm just like boring. Oh yeah, that's a really interesting basketball game. Watch it for like 2 minutes and then I go to the next one. And then whatever you get connected on is where you're like staying on that channel for hours. Like so it's just like flipping the remote. But most of the kids on that app probably have no clue what that is. Yeah. And so it's just really cool because you can kind of get figured out and like really, really get down a hole and down a good engagement path with the right people. And you can even meet people. Like I met a guy who's a few hours south of me in town that I used to go, like I went to college in and everything, and made a video and had a great time. And he's a guy I engage with daily. And then I've got a whole trip planned to meet a couple other creators and make videos with them down in Texas. And it's just like, this is mind blowing that you do that and that people want to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's really, for sure. It's so cool. It really is. And it's very humbling too. Cause like I said, I just think I'm a dork that happens to be like, I like Pokemon cards still from when I was a kid, and we're somehow monetizing it and somehow able to build like a career on it eventually. Like there's so many people that can do that. So it's really cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. Like honestly, I got back into Pokemon like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was starting to go to garage sales, starting to flip stuff from garage sales and whatnot. I was wondering, what if Pokemon's worth anything, because I saw some Pokemon cards. It's like, holy crap, there's like a $300 card, like I can make some money like with this. And then I got more into collecting and whatnot, but it just blows my mind that like something that I really enjoy, like I literally have and can make some side money or an actual business from. Like,
Yep.
that just blows my mind.
Well, did you collect like the base set stuff like when you grew up?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I grew up, with base set, jungle, all that stuff. But I was an 8-year old kid, didn't really think much of it.
Yeah. I was telling them the other day about like I still have, I don't have them on my desk right now, but like I still have like all my original stuff and I put them in top loaders and like I've got some cards right here. That's a hold on. Here we go. So like I would have old, like this is not old obviously, but I would take these in these top loaders and like nail them to my wall. And so I've got all my, it's really fun because I've got like all these. So I'm talking like a old Mewtwo hollow
Uh-huh.
base set. That's if you PSA 10 that, I don't know how much that's worth, like $1,000 or something. That's probably completely wrong. I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me. But like I would nail those to the wall because you just weren't even processing that. I'm like an 8-year-old child being like, I made wallpaper and I just like I'd have the whole wall covered with those just nailed into my wall. And I've still, so there's something like sentimental about like having them in these top loaders that would still have the holes in them and everything from when I would put them in there and everything. But I always would see that there was some value because I would do that. I would be really meticulous with cards when I was growing up, like have them in my binders, top load them, and all that kind of stuff. And I've got boxes and boxes of binders of like sports cards, Pokemon, Batman, all these different things, comic books even. I would like sleeve them and create like these scrapbooks and stuff like that. I remember like the story I always had was that there was a Charizard, like we had a vending machine at a grocery store. And this is the thing I still think about to this day. There's a vending machine that had cards and like all the little docks and everything. And there was a Charizard, base set Charizard hollow for $8 in the vending machine. And I begged my parents for it constantly. And they were like, no, you have like 5,000 cards at home. We'll buy a pack. You get more cards in the pack. And I was like, but I want that one. And I never got that card. To this day, I've gotten a Charizard. Like I even have a, hold on. I've got one that is not a perfect grade, but we've got a 7 and I took it, we've got that, but I never got the one out of the vending machine for $8. People don't believe me that it was $8. And I like, when you have like childhood trauma and there's the things that you just, like, very vividly remember. I still remember that card just being there in the bottom. It was in the bottom left, only one there in a top loader. And I could never get it. So that's the thing I joke about now that when I talk to my parents about what I'm doing and things like that, I'm like, you still never really gave me that Charizard. So I always thought they owe me like whatever, like $800 or something. Now, I don't know if you like have any stories like that, but
oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I have, I think, 2 cards left from my original collection because my mom threw the rest away.
Oh, geez.
Like didn't even sell them. Didn't give them to give them to charity or anything like that. Just tossed them in the garbage.
I hear so. So I've never talked to like directly about that, but so like it just got thrown away. There's like
just got thrown away. Yeah, so because I mean I think like most kids our age, like I was into Pokemon as a kid, became a teenager, kind of it was not that cool, and so I didn't really collect it anymore. Even though I kind of in the back of my mind still loved it, I still would play like my Game Boy every now and again. And then I went off to college, got married, and then I was like oh man, I need to go find my collection. Went to my mom's house. I was looking around for it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I threw that away like a long time ago." I was like, "No."
Oh geez, that's crazy, man.
And so the only card I have left is one that I found like in a shoebox, like and it was a Bulbasaur, base set Bulbasaur, and then a Ninetales that was on top loader. Still not in the best condition, but those are the only 2 cards I have like left from my actual original childhood collection.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I wish. I wish. Yeah. I'm just sorry. That's all I can say. I know. But there's a difference too. Is like I'm gonna grade what I have, but I'm gonna keep them for a while. I'm not sitting there trying to flip them, because like that's kind of, I don't know if you get this a lot, but like, do you ever get? I basically get the question. I can't even describe to you how many times I get like, is this card good, from somebody. Like, they'll just be like, I got this. Like, is this good? And it's easy to be cynical and be like, go to Google, or you know what I mean.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know if you get that. I constantly get that, but I try to answer it to people where they're like, what are you trying to do with it? At the end of the day, because like at the end of the day, like if you have this like tag team card, or you have like this amazing rare, like if you're in it, there's nothing wrong with this, just for a caveat, but like there's nothing wrong with this. But if you're in it just to like open it to flip and do it, then you just got to have the mindset for that. Because like, what is this now? I don't think this is more like $8.
Yeah, like
raw.
$9 card.
Yeah, but it was like it was a lot when it first came out, but they started to see there was a lot of those. So then it's like, okay, if you're trying to flip it and do those kind of things, cool, you got $8. So is $8 worth it to you? Like, there's more existential questions to that kind of thing. And there's just a lot of uneducation on that kind of stuff. And a lot of people being like, perfect example was that video I just told you about. Like, I didn't make that to be like, you're rich. It was more like, listen, if you have this card and it's just sitting there, you should probably go check to see if it looks good. And if you are looking to invest in it, that card could potentially be $500 if it's a 10. Is it always a 10? No, it's not. But you can't do that in a TikTok. So you can't do that because it's not gonna. You don't have enough time. Even if you can do it in a long form discussion like what we're doing, you can have those conversations. But two, you're gonna lose engagement, and people aren't like, people want to be like, what, $500? What? And then just comment on it. But if I was doing what I just said to you, where I'm like, hey, if you have this card, you could see if it's raw. Make sure you check it, clean it, make sure there's no whitening on the edges. How's the centering? And if all that matters, it could be a 10. Like, you can't do that in a 60-second video. But that's why it's important to like have engagement, and like have other options like Discord, have podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Have ways to create that other avenue of information to people. But at the end of the day, again, it really is what their goal is. Do you want to flip it? Do you want to collect, or do you want to invest in it? So in my mind, all my vintage isn't in the best condition, so I'm not going to flip it. I'm sentimental to it as well. So most likely I'm going to grade them to keep them in the condition that they're at, and then, invest them. In the next 10 years, maybe they're worth even more, and use that to pay for stuff for my kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, what's a card worth type of question? I don't hate it, but I wish there was better, quicker ways to answer it, because people really should be educated on that kind of stuff. Because everybody thinks everything's a 10, or everybody thinks like, I pulled a Shinx. It's a common card from the newest set, but it's worth $1 million. But people just do that for the views. That's the thing. Like, that's a part of where, hopefully that's part of where my goals are too, is like, people need to know, like, there's too many scalpers and people trying to really take advantage of people, and people really got to be educated, man. They really do.
Oh, 100%. Like, because I got into like garage sale and whatnot, I made a lot of friends who resell, and they'll flip stuff from garage sales and whatnot. And so when Pokemon got big, oh my gosh, I mean, I still get hit up a lot, but I got hit up so much. And like I always said, like, you need to get educated. Like, I don't think I told a single person like a single card or product to buy.
Yeah.
Because I just knew, like, no, like I could tell you a card that is potentially worth, $300 or whatever. But I was like, no, you need to get educated, because there are so many nuances. And just because it's a Charizard, or just because this one set has a Charizard, does not mean that you can just buy it off of a shelf and sell it for $200.
Yeah. Like, you can't do that. Yeah. And people think that. They just think, and that's why part of where it is in my head, where I'm like, that's why people are going to the store and just like taking everything and leaving. One, they hear there's a Charizard. So when you're uneducated, you're like surface level on the knowledge of this kind of thing. So I think there's a Charizard, so I assume that that's worth a ton of money. So I'm taking it. And all the educated people are the collectors and that kind of stuff, who know what they're trying to get, just can't get anything. I have weird like tinfoil hat conspiracy theory on some of this stuff where I'm like basically assuming you're gonna see boosts in, and I hope this doesn't influence anybody. So like I'm not telling anybody to go buy this at all, but um, but like I assume the things that the kids can get, you're going to see nostalgic boosts in those in the next 10, 15 years. I could be completely wrong. I'm just talking. But it's like you might see people who actually really have a passion and love for like Steam Siege or Rebel Clash because that was the only thing they could get and not care at all about Shining Fates or any of those kind of big sets. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of thing. Like we were able to find the regular stuff. We were able to find everything. So we have a nostalgia for those kind of things. But you have generations of collectors and kids and parents trying to do things to enjoy a hobby with their kids as well that they don't, like they can't. You just like literally can't do it unless you're like on a upper class, like you're making tons of money that you have all this disposable income to just spend 4x on a box. Like you can't collect in and enjoy that kind of stuff. So I just wish people would be respectful and educated and know what to buy and all that kind of stuff. But you see things like Target and everything trying to regulate it and everything like that. But like I have a job, so I can't camp out at night and go to Target at 8 a.m. and then like to get 3 boxes. I can't do that. It's not, there's no ROI. And I like, there's like I'm sure you're the same way, but it's like, you know, there's more value in creating videos to help the people and talk to these people than me sitting at Target for 12 hours so I can spend $60 to flip them for 120 or to even just open them. There's better ways for our time. And that's part of where I'm hopefully going with stuff as well. Yeah.
For sure. Actually, something I've really been trying to talk about a lot more lately. Actually, I need to make more TikTok videos on this actually. But since there's such little stock, and you know, you don't want to pay $100 for an ETB that just came out. You don't want, I mean, if you want to, I mean, I don't. You do what you want with your money.
Do whatever you want.
Especially, most people in the hobby are not going to have that kind of disposable income, And so I've really just been trades to me, like trading product, trading cards. Like if you pulled this card and then that's like a $20 card, you can trade that for maybe a box that someone has, like a Urshifu V box or something. Like if you have extra cards, like this is called a TCG, it's a trading card game, And so I really like I really just been on this lately, that especially with how little stock there is, how much people are pricing their stuff, like start doing more trades. Like you don't have to camp out to get, like you said, 3 products. You can freaking trade that, Hidden Fates ETB, or maybe not Hidden Fates ETB, but something else that you have, for something else. I've been doing a lot more trades lately because I don't want to camp out. I don't want to pay, $30 extra for an ETB, and it's been working out pretty great.
That's cool. Yeah. And then you probably get to meet people too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you get to meet people that are like-minded, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a win-win, because I've had the interactions with the scalpers, and it seems like a derogatory term with the way that people say it. Like there's always negative energy with it, but I've had the interactions. So like, again, it's about like having solution-based mindsets versus complaining. You know what I'm saying? Because I've done the complaint. Trust me, I'm not perfect. I've done that. I do it more than I should anyway, but like there's different things. Like I started going to stores and not finding anything and getting mad about it or things like that. Or I've been to stores where I've had these interactions where I'm like bought stuff. Like there's a specific interaction when I bought stuff one time, had it in my cart. Some guy came in to like, go look at this thing. And I was like, oh, hey, I was just talking and like went to a manager, and they said the guy already came here. So there's already people that cleared everything out. So just letting you know, you can go look there, but there's nothing left. And then like, I didn't even have a lot of stuff. I had like maybe 3 or 4 boxes of Pokemon cards. And this was even before Pokemon. Like this was like, everybody's still looking for sports cards. But like my cart's here, he comes in and he just like goes in and like starts looking through my stuff. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I thought you got all the cards. I was like, this is I paid for this. So I was like, it doesn't really matter, man. I'm just trying to help you. And then he's like, whatever. And he was like gets his phone out and he's like, this place is, somebody hit this place already. We're going to go to the next one. And I was like, well, I don't want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? I was like, there's no road where that is good. I think it's great if you want to go find stuff and you're doing things where you're enjoying it, but there's starting to become obsessions, addictions, and things like that is not healthy. And, I'll get flack if somebody wants to disagree, but I don't really care, because that interactions like that, there's no benefit. There's no going back to where that's something that, you want to be a part of. And
100%.
that's just my opinion. Somebody can get mad. I don't care.
Well, it's okay. I can throw some health science into there and talk about how, when you're having that kind of mindset, that's going to produce, a lot more adrenaline, a lot more cortisol, which is going to affect your health. We won't get into all of that, but
yeah, we can get super. Yeah. I've had that. I've had people grab things out of my hand before. I think different places are different. Like environments and everything like that. We have a very, very like I'm in Kansas City. We have a very, very unhealthy environment with this kind of thing. With the cards, like to the points of like where people are just, there's fights. I've seen fights. People have threatened managers, stalking the vendors, like taking pictures of the vendor's car, so that people know what the car is. Like absurd things, man. And I'm like, this is for cards. Like this isn't like, you got to love this. Like this isn't it. It's an addiction. Like you're turning it into pretty significant problem. So not to like be on a down note and everything like that, but that's where, like, in my head, like entertaining, having fun, trying to stay positive. I've complained in videos and deleted them because I don't need to be doing that, because I'm in the moment of that. But we gotta stay supportive in our community and enjoy it. Like it's a hobby. It is shiny cardboard. It's dumb. But it's great. Like it's a fun thing. Like I think every single one of us, when you break it down, like it makes no sense, but it's a fun collection and something we can all engage with. And I think the community aspect of that kind of stuff, when you develop that, is way more worthwhile than being like, I got a 10 Charizard, so now I got $800 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we'll go into just a tiny bit. Like,
sure.
I think we have to understand that, when we are, because we've seen this so much, especially the last 12 months, like people, basically name calling, people getting upset, people getting into fights. Because I haven't witnessed a fight, but I've seen on my Pokemon group, like people talking about like, yo, this Walmart, like that's just like 30 minutes from my house, like someone like got beaten almost to death.
Oh,
because I got into such a big fight. Like just craziness happening over cards. And the thing is, though, like, if you're getting so upset over cards, like, you have to understand that that's actually, it has nothing to do with the cards.
Yeah.
Like, there's something like up here, like whether it's you're stressed out about money, you're just associating, cards with money, you're associating something. There's some other kind of negative association that you're having. Yes. And you're just lashing out through these cards or through this community.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. It's a very long conversation to go into the psychology of that kind of stuff. But I've had those conversations before with some people, because people are like, I don't understand why they're so mad. And it really is like there is a need that got met from them. Like there's a validation and a need that got met in this success into the finding the cards and like getting the dopamine and all that kind of good stuff that they've probably and it's not everybody, and not everybody's bad that does it. I think we all know that. I think that's assumed, but the people that cause the problems ruin it for the good people. But there's a need that's getting met from this that they've never had in their life. And so it feels like it's getting taken away when they lose the control from it. So then they're like, you're really, that's why there's so much defense. Again, like that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, no, I'm right there with you. But that's where I'm saying it's the same thing. Like the followers that I was talking about when we first started talking, you're like, you probably have some toxic people in there that still follow you, and probably toxic people that troll in the videos and everything like that. But there is significant great people that just want to have a community and just want to feel validated for their hobby and for this thing that they've always loved. And that's what I try to do to the best of my ability. And I'm going to succeed and fail 1,000 times over, but it's still very fun to do.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, and I think it's so important to recognize that whether you have, because man, you're coming up on like 300,000 followers pretty soon.
Yeah.
So
it's
whether you have,
easy to say when that happens, but I felt like I still had the mindset when I had 300.
well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Whether you have 300,000 followers, whether you have 300, whether you have three,
Right.
like no matter how, and I don't really like saying you have a big community, you have a big following, because I mean, if you have three people, that's still three people following you.
Yeah.
And
That's like if I'm
but
sitting here and there's 3 people I'm talking to in front of me. Like that's pretty cool. Like it's 3
yeah,
people that want to sit there and listen to you. Yeah.
yeah, and so no matter how big your following is, like you can still put out that positivity, put out that education, you can still make a difference.
Yeah. You just gotta have the right mindset, man. That's like with the stuff that you're talking about, the whole perspective thing. I love that. Like people need to learn the psychology of these kind of things as well. But it's a cool, different thing that you're doing to not just like, 'cause I'll have fun in open packs and things like that. And it's fun to talk about these things versus being like, what's the coolest new set to buy? I think it's very, very valuable for people to know these things, like these psychological things, if that makes sense, as opposed to just being like, what makes me rich?
Uh-huh.
It's a whole lot that goes into that. And everything.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, at the end of the day, and I really can't say this because so I actually work with my dad. We have a health company. It's his company, built it up, did all the research, and works with doctors. But a lot of it revolves around mental health.
Yeah.
And he has met with plenty of what we would call very successful, like financially successful people who are super depressed, who have really bad relationships with their family. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have a freaking $1 million Charizard card.
Exactly.
Like, what's going to matter is like what's going on up here. Because you can have all the money in the world and still be super depressed. You can still be, super like defensive.
Yep.
And so I think at the end of the day, I want everyone to have as much financial success as possible, but you also have to make sure you're successful up here.
Yeah, completely agree, man. That's super, super valuable.
Okay. Now I know you do need to head out pretty soon.
Sure.
But man, dude, I'm like looking at the time, like, wow, this time's been
dude, it goes by.
by.
I just recorded the first thing for the podcast that I'm putting together. I haven't released things yet. People know I'm doing that kind of stuff, but it's like when you just start going, you're like, oh, it's been an hour, and you're like, it's crazy. Yeah.
But real quick, go ahead and do a plug for your podcast that's coming out.
Oh yeah. So basically, I took a play on the goat thing. So that's probably for another episode where I can explain where all my nonsense came from. But basically, the whole goat thing of like great people is where I'm gonna start doing interviews with people. The guy Joe Dexter that I met, he was the first one I interviewed, and where he talks about his adversity in he grew up with cystic fibrosis and how he got his collection in like within the adversity of that, and he's still alive today. So he talks about that. So there's different things like that. It's not going to be just about Pokemon. So like we're talking about great things, but they can help apply stuff to like content creation, other hobbies, and things like that. So we've got a couple. I got a company called Animation Legends, which sells like nostalgia. Basically, they have animation cells from old cartoons that you can buy and everything like that. So I'm going to talk with one of their VPs about that company, what they're doing. And then I got a couple other like a card app developer and other content creators that we're going to talk about like card grading and things like that. So the card stuff never goes away. Like that's the bread and butter. But having these conversations, Ulysses, like you and me, like this is where my brain goes, and just talking and having these things. I probably talk too much. I know I can go live because that's my broadcasting degree coming into play. But I can just talk. And I really, really enjoy doing that. It's really, really fun to talk to people that are way smarter than you and have had a lot more experience than you, because you can learn from them. And that's where that birthed, if that makes sense. I was like, I might not be able to make the best video. I might not have the best collection, but I sure as heck can find that person and talk to them about it and what they've learned from that kind of stuff. So that's where that's coming from and everything. Very excited for that. Everything is Goatbreakers. Surprisingly, that wasn't taken on anything. So I have all the handles for that. So on any kind of channel of Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all those different things, it's all there. And you'll find me. It'll either be the little goat or it'll be my obnoxiously smiling face on there and everything. But that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Good to know. Okay, well, we're going to wrap up in like 60 seconds. I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, what's your favorite Pokemon?
Charmeleon.
Ooh, nice. And what's your favorite restaurant?
Oh, there is a pizza place here in Kansas City called Minsky's Pizza. It is the best pizza in the world. And so that I could eat that every day if I wouldn't get fat.
Hey, what's your favorite set that you've opened up so far?
Oh, like give me a timeline, like a modern set.
Let's do modern and then any vintage if you opened up any
Okay.
vintage.
So the Team Rocket set vintage is like my favorite growing up because again, like here it is, boom. See, I have it readily available. This is what the card. I pulled this card live the other day from a pack that I had, but
Nice.
that's my favorite card of all time. This is what got me into like being like, this is art. There's appreciation of it and everything. So it's not a rapid fire answer, but that's why I like Charmeleon. That card, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen when I was a kid. So that is my favorite older set. But honestly, it's kind of cliche, but the Hidden Fate set has been great.
It's a good set.
I've opened a lot of it. I think that's what everybody loves nowadays. But I still haven't even hit the Charizard. But I love that set. It's different than Champion's Path. Like I've opened 500 plus packs of Champion's Path. Got one Charizard from it, and I hate that set. There's nothing you can do with it. And so the concept of like Hidden Fates has a lot more collectability, and that's where my head is in. It's like the collecting, investing side of it. I used to play the game when I was a kid and go to Toys R Us and all that good stuff, but I've got too many other responsibilities to really get into it. But I still love it in terms of collection. So the modern thing would be Hidden Fates. Vintage stuff would be anything in that Team Rocket set. Just loved that set.
Nice. And is there a set that you hope to open up in the near future, or just in the future in general?
Oh, I haven't honestly like. It would be anything vintage that I haven't ever opened. Like I had never like you like I went through where I had like I went all the way to like Neo, and then I grew up and kind of did stuff and didn't get to do stuff. So I missed all like the Deoxys set and different things like that. I'd love to open any of that, even like Holland Phantoms, like all these random sets that I know about but never really opened. And I can't. I'm not going to go buy all those packs and everything at the prices that they are now. Anything in that middle range, all the way up to like from the X. I got back in when it was like Primal Clash, Celestial Storm, and now like all that Sun and Moon. I've opened all that kind of stuff, but there's like a few black and white I've done, but somewhere between like the Neo Discovery or Neo Revelations to the regular black and white, I've got a huge gap of things. So anything from that, if anybody wants to send it to me, I'll open it.
And what's your favorite TCG or collectible card, type of card outside of Pokemon?
Oh, you know what? Hold on. I don't have it. Oh, yes, I do. Here we go. So I've got, these aren't, like, these are old. So these are 1991 Cosmic cards from DC.
Uh-huh.
So these are things I've loved when I was a kid. So like these, I bought a ton of these boxes. This is like spoilers for content that's coming. But basically, opening a lot of these, the Marvel cards. I even have like, these are old 66 Batman cards. This is a Catwoman one. So this is like one of the first Catwoman cards that came out. And I even bought this because it's like, I literally just got this yesterday. So this worked out for you. But the cutoff is like super, the centering on these things. People complain about modern centering, but these things are horrible. And like, this is the card underneath it. So like it got cut off and it's like terribly centered, but the rest of it's really good. So I love like collecting these like superhero, like nerdy. I can even show you. So you got me excited again. You already got me all excited. But like I've all these old vintage like Batman cards from the 60s. Super crazy artwork that is like fascinating compared to like what we get nowadays with things. So I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z or any of that kind of stuff. But I could talk to you about DC and Batman and all that kind of stuff all day. So that's my answer. It was a very long answer, but it got you. It got you what you wanted.
You're good, dude. That's awesome. See, I've been trying to get back into collecting some Marvel cards from like the 90s. That's also what I grew up on.
Oh yeah. That's so yeah. I don't have a I have a Series 3 set, but
Nice.
I don't have a Series 1. But these Cosmic cards, like so, like I was always into Batman. That was like my first word. According to my parents, my first word was Batman, which was crazy. But I have all those like Batman animated series, like comics, and all those kind of cards. And like I'm collecting those to open and do other content as well on that. So anyway, that's cool, man. I'm glad you like those. I love the 90s art, probably just because we grew up. It's not that good, but that's what we grew up on and everything. So yeah.
I recently also got some Power Rangers. I'm going to be opening up soon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's so cool, man.
But yeah,
so,
that's for another time.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Then I'll let you go. What makes you happy?
Oh wow. Just finding something I love. You can see how quick I lit up just talking about that. And this is cheesy, but just like my family is so awesome. Like I got a wife and a couple kids, and a lot of people, even in the community, know my wife too. I'm not Ninja and his wife, if you know how they do. So I'm not that big, but they. The coolest thing, I was telling somebody this earlier today, like the coolest thing that makes me happy, and that is like the way my family is that my wife has always been supportive of my stupidity with these things and all the hobbies. And I say that lovingly, but like I'm saying like all these random things like video games, nerd content, Pokemon cards. She doesn't totally understand it all, but I've never had a moment with her where she's been like, you're wasting time, you're wasting money, you shouldn't be doing this. And so like the fact that she is supportive and tries to engage into it and has a good time and stuff like that that helps me get joyful and helps me build more, like want to do more in that and everything. So that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like your wife and I might be kindred spirits.
For sure.
All right, man. Well, that is it for today. Tim, thank you so much for being on. Again, go follow this guy on TikTok and every other platform that he's on. Just look for Goatbreakers.
Yeah.
And dude, I'll be looking forward to your podcast when it comes out.
Yeah, it'll be very, very soon. We're still recording. I think it'll be in June when we start really launching stuff.